Good afternoon. So while I took an early morning flight today, so I woke up at 2 and started from home at 3, picked up a 6 o'clock flight. On the way, I was wondering how would I start the presentation as to what open roaming is, why it matters. But things became very, very easy when I entered this campus. I saw that so many people here, really heartening to see that so many techies collected at one place talking about a single subject. The moment I entered, I saw people struggling to get internet connectivity. Cellular indoors, as usual, with this kind of crowded place, people are struggling. I'm not saying cellular is bad, but there are challenges. Then I saw people talking to Wi-Fi hotel staff asking about Wi-Fi passwords and all. And I just relaxed, sat on a chair, and a guy came in from the hotel staff, "Sir, do you need Wi-Fi password?" I just looked at both my phones, and both were automatically connected. This is the first time I ever entered into this venue, never before. So how did I get connected to Wi-Fi? 3 years back, just post-pandemic, I visited MWC Barcelona, and that was the first time I downloaded that certificate on both my devices to connect to OpenRoaming Wi-Fi. Never after that, wherever event I have attended, whichever venue I have visited, where there's an OpenRoaming network, I just get connected. That's the beauty of OpenRoaming. And I think that gives a very good context of starting this presentation of why OpenRoaming is important. So we are seeing about a global Wi-Fi hotspot scenario, how things are growing in terms of number of global Wi-Fi hotspots. So despite we being continuously evolving in terms of multiple generation of cellular wireless, Wi-Fi continues to remain very relevant. It continues to be omnipresent. It continues to be the choice of technology for everyone to get connected. I'm not getting into numbers. We'll just talk about what OpenRoaming brings on the table. If OpenRoaming was not there, what is a traditional Wi-Fi onboarding cycle, especially in places like this where people are gathering from all over and they just want to get connected? So first they will look for a open network, any hotspot or open Wi-Fi network. They'll see if it requires a password or it requires a captive portal. They will have to go through the process of entering, logging into the, first connecting to the network, logging on to getting a splash page, entering some kind of authentication, maybe OTP or something. If any of this process fails, they will have to start over. So that's the hassle we all have been going through. Of course, it works for many, many places, but this is one area where we think a lot of improvement can be done. And that's where OpenRoaming comes in play. Another important point, whenever we get connected to a network like this, we know that it's an open network. So we are always concerned about our security, the data that we are transmitting over this. Hassle-free expectations. I have 3 devices, 1 laptop, 2 phones. I want all of the 3 to get connected just like that. Many places they will require only 1 OTP per mobile number, so you can connect only 1 device at a point. And the number of Wi-Fi hotspots are increasing. You don't know which hotspot is the right one for you. And there is a need for standardization. Every captive portal, every splash page is customized to the service provider or to the OEM who is offering the services. So there is a need for standardization as well. Plus, even if you get connected today here, you move to another Redison Blue tomorrow, you will have to repeat the process all over again. But as I mentioned that I just got connected once, 3 years back, quite far in Barcelona, and here I come today for the first time, I just get connected. So that's the seamless global interoperability what we are looking for. I call it revolution in Wi-Fi onboarding. So how it works, since all of you guys are technologists here, so let's get a little bit more in depth of how OpenRoaming works. There are two parts to it. One is network provider or a service provider, and another part is identity provider. How do we make sure that whosoever is connecting to the network, they are authenticated properly? So OpenRoaming is a roaming federation service by WBA, Wireless Broadband Alliance. HFCL happens to be, my company happens to be a member of Wireless Broadband Alliance, and we promote OpenRoaming as part of all the products that we develop. We are an OEM of Wi-Fi solutions, and we offer OpenRoaming integrated into all the products that we offer today. So as an OEM, I have offering for my customers. My customers could be the end users who are deploying in enterprises, homes, small offices, or my customers could be internet service providers or telecom service providers who want to offer services to their customers. So it comes as a bundled solution to them. It establishes a universal connectivity network. The fundamental baseline is pass point. Hotspot 2.0, as many of us know now, a 3.0 version is there. You never have to connect to any open network. Even the basic connection is a secured connection. So you never have to worry about security. One time when you download the certificate, which is provided by the identity provider, which means your identity is known to the end service provider, you are authenticated with your identity, and wherever you go, your identity is protected. So that helps both ways. One, you do not enter into unsecure networks, plus the service provider does not have to worry about who is onboarding. And most important is, when you walk into a place like this, you want to have a roaming experience just like you feel when you enter from one place to other on a cellular network. You land into Bangalore, you are connected, that's roaming, and that's the kind of network offering OpenRoaming offers. These are some of the accomplishments. It's growing. People are liking it. We are seeing a lot of traction around the globe. In India, we are trying to promote. There is one new project that we are doing with Delhi University, where we are Wi-Fiing multiple campuses, multiple colleges, hostels. We are trying to help them onboard their subscribers using OpenRoaming. Now that's a unique case because, as I mentioned, if you are OpenRoaming, you onboard onto an OpenRoaming network once, then you can go anywhere in the world. You do not have to ever authenticate again. You just get onboarded. But an organization like Delhi University, they do not want that. While they want a seamless onboarding experience, they want to restrict the number of users or who can onboard onto their network. So that is what we are implementing now. And that is easy to do with the fundamental principles remain the same. Onboarding remains the same. Only thing is, there is a directory which is whitelisted, an active directory, which they can control. So even if you are an OpenRoaming customer, and if the network provider does not want you to onboard, then you just get blacklisted. So that's an easy part. Can I have a glass of water? So this is the entire ecosystem of OpenRoaming. There are identity providers. Thank you. There are operators, identity providers, and the end customers who are actually onboarding to the network. Identity providers make sure that whosoever is onboarding has their identity authenticated only once in their lifetime. Service providers are comfortable that whosoever is coming onto my network, they are already authenticated. The customer is comfortable that whichever network I am onboarding to, it's a secure network. I'm not getting into details. I've already talked about these things. So the best part from a end user perspective is it's totally seamless. You do not even have to know that you are entering into a facility where there is an open roaming network. It just gets connected the moment you enter. These are some of the differences, what happens in a regular open network versus what happens when you are entering into an open roaming network. Another important point people ask is that while we are removing captive portal here, what if as a service provider I want to splash some of the advertisements or some of the pages which I want my customers to see? So that facility is there. While you do not use captive portal for authentication anymore, you still can have splash pages running onto your user devices so that they can see the advertisements or whatever message you want to send. So that is all possible. And the best part, as I mentioned, that you just register once. And how it helps to for the service provider, they have a new generation, new stream of revenue that they can generate. They can offer services globally. Efficiency comes in, your network experience improves, and you become more competitive in the industry. Where this is being deployed today, mostly the use case is more into public networks, where networks like airports, hotels, or where you offer your guests Wi-Fi services, there it is very, very useful. But we are seeing very increasing interest from enterprises also. As I talked about Delhi University case, so these kind of enterprise use cases are also being very, very interested in this kind of network because of all the features that it offers. So I'm not getting into details of how it handles various concerns that we see today in the present Wi-Fi networks. We have already discussed most of these. Another important point that we have not discussed is quality of service. So when you are offering a service to your end customers, you can actually control based on policies how your users experience the network based on the kind of user they are. So that is also something that you can build as part of your service offering when you're on open roaming. We became the first enterprise out of India to offer open roaming across complete Wi-Fi portfolio. We have a demo booth right across the hall, and we have a small card where you'll see a QR code. Just scan the QR code once, you get onboarded, and then you can see how easy and efficient it is. And the best thing is, you never have to do it again, wherever you are in the industry. So we went to Plugfest in Las Vegas last year, and we certified all our products to operate with open roaming. That's all. Any questions? I'm well in time.
Yeah. There is a hand up here. Get the mic before you ask, please.
Thank you for the nice presentation. How does this tie up with the 5G Wi-Fi convergence or cellular Wi-Fi convergence, where cellular operators have their own hotspots and they use their SIM cards for authentication, right? EAP SIM or EAP AKA. So how is this certificate going to help for that use case or not?
As I mentioned, the fundamental technology behind open roaming is passpoint only. So the authentication mechanism is the same as what we use in mobile operators like EAP SIM, EAP AKA. They are the same mechanisms. In fact, for Wi-Fi and cellular convergence, there is a study group which is working in Wireless Broadband Alliance, and they are developing a lot of papers and solutions around it, so that whosoever wants to utilize the standard way of cellular Wi-Fi convergence, they can look at those papers. But the fundamental technology remains the same. For onboarding, we are using the same EAP technology what cellular operators do.
Okay. So the same onboarding process will work even if a cellular operator
That's
wants.
right.
So, okay, thanks.
The only advantage here is you can onboard your laptops also, which is not possible with your cellular networks because it does not have a SIM.
I understand it's mostly open as the feature itself is open roaming. How it is tied with ISPs? Like we have to pay something to them. Like I have to maintain a subscription with those guys so that we can have the continuous connections.
Okay, as a OEM, if I have to offer open roaming as a service to my customers who are, let's say, network providers or service providers, I do not have to pay anything to anyone. Service providers, if they are an identity provider themselves, which is a possibility, again, they do not have to pay anything to anyone. But if there is an identity provider who is just offering identities for your subscribers, there has to be some agreement between the network provider and identity provider so that they can talk to each other how to manage the business case between the two. From an end customer perspective, of course, we are talking about public Wi-Fi, so at least as of now, there is no defined commercial arrangement with that. Any network that at least I have onboarded so far, I have not paid anyone. As an OEM, I have not paid anyone, nothing as yet.
That's great.
But the commercials are only between the identity providers and the service providers, how they want to monetize whatever services they are offering. So it's a completely open source.
Yeah. So I'm just extending the same question here, Vinod here. I'm just taking an analogy was for a bank ATM system, right, where any bank ATM could be used in anybody else's, any bank card could be used in anybody's ATM. So this looks like something going in that direction. You pointed out if an ISP is also an identity provider, he would have a certain amount of network that's available for everybody to use and vice versa. They may not have the proportional amount of bandwidth to offer. So how is that going to pan out? I mean, how can it be free? Yeah.
So again, as I mentioned, it is between the service providers how they want to do it, but the only advantage we get here is there is one federated body called Wireless Broadband Alliance who define the policies for all of them. And as far as the commercial arrangements are concerned, it has to be handled between the service providers themselves. In fact, as part of WBA, there is a task group called Asia Pac task group. We are going to publish a paper on open roaming, which will be describing this in more detail, how it works, what are the modalities, how different parties come in play, how are the commercial arrangements settled between all of them. So that paper should be out in another month's time. I think for initial 1 month, it is restricted to only WBA members, after some time, it becomes public to everyone. So it will be interesting to look at that paper. And in fact, I would urge you guys, if any of you are interested to contribute towards that or be part of that, you can join WBA APAC task group and be part of that open roaming white paper.
Thanks.
Yeah. So one of the biggest challenges we find in wireless onboarding is like how to refresh the profile. So how is it being tackled in this thing?
Sorry, can you repeat the question? How to refresh the profile?
Refresh the profile. Once we install the profile, you said, no, you have installed the profile like 3 years back, and now if your device becomes raw, so how will you refresh it?
So it is as simple as scanning a QR code. I will request you walk in towards the other side in the hall. Mm-hmm. We are displaying a small QR code on that. You just scan it and you will know how it is done. So it is easier experience than explained.
Yeah, it will just directly override the existing profile, or like what, it will install one more?
So if a profile is already installed in your phone, you don't have to refresh it. Let's say tomorrow you change your phone, or you want to bring in another device. There is one onboarding process that you will have to follow. The certificates remain inside your phone. If, for example, for whatever reason, your phone gets corrupted, or you have to install your OS once again, you lose your data, you have to do that activity once again, so it overrides the existing ones.
Okay, and what is the lifetime of this profile? Like, it will be like, this certificate is valid for like endlessly or like a...
For now, I think it is 10 years, but I mean, WBA will have to decide for how long they want to maintain it. I think for now, the lifetime is 10 years.
I have a short question, if you allow me. Just wanted to ask, let's say I am an organization and somebody is connecting. I just want to ensure that I put a disclaimer to him first, saying that you abide by the rules and all those things. So can I do a splash screen or a disclaimer where they say, yes, I consent, and then we allow it?
Yes, that is possible.
Perfect, thank you.
So I'm curious, firstly, thanks for the very informative presentation. So I'm curious to know how you think about the security for this, because devices are like for 10 years, it can come on board on any network which is compliant, and yeah, like what are your thoughts on that?
So one, when a user onboards onto any network, which is OpenRoaming network, it is always an encrypted network, one. It is not an open network, which is typically the case when you have to log in onto or onboard onto a network using a captive portal. The first time when you connect to your SSID, it's an open connection. That is not there the case anymore, so it is always encrypted. Now, to make sure that whosoever is onboarding onto the device, the security part from a network provider perspective, they have to have a certificate downloaded from an identity provider, which means their identity is already known to the service provider. So that way they are protected. From the other side, how the customers are sure that I am onboarding to a right network. The OpenRoaming framework itself defines that it is not that somebody can spoof that, because your identity provider is sitting somewhere. If someone spoofs the OpenRoaming network, they will not be able to get onboarded because of the identity that is lying in your phone. So that way, all three ways, the security is already taken care.
Thanks.
Thank you, Bhuvnesh. Let's give you a big hand. So, do you want to ask a question? Go ahead, go ahead. Last question.
So it is use of kind of centralized identity.
Use the mic closer to your
Yeah.
mouth.
So we are using kind of centralized identities, right? And say, for example, this hotel facility has... Huh? Okay. So this facility has this service opted, right? And consider this situation, right? So normally I have opted to services, everyone has opted for that service. And when cloud is gathering here, right? So it would be same as like a normal open network, and it would be oversubscribed. So how do we handle this?
Sorry, I did not get the question.
Saying some crowding and everybody now gets into open roaming. Is there a way to handle the crowd?
Okay, that is to be managed by the planner who is planning the network. Of course, if you think that one access point will be able to handle the entire hotel crowd, it will not be possible. It has to be planned properly. Of course, it is like another Wi-Fi network, which will have its own limitations in terms of what is the backhaul coming, how many customers you can subscribe to, what kind of service offering you can provide to each customer. What OpenRoaming helps in is seamless, secure onboarding of the customers. But the underlying infrastructure has to support all that to be able to provide a good user experience to all the customers. Hope I answer your question.
Yeah. In the interest of time, I think we'll again thank Bhuvnesh. And lunch is over on the other side. Please visit the HFCL counter and get onboarded.
Yes.
Correct, get onboarded. Other sponsors are there. And you have a lunch coupon at the back of your tag here. Devdas would have said only use one plate because the hotel counts plates. So please enjoy your lunch, visit the sponsors booth. Back here in 2 if you want to grab some chocolates. Okay?
I urge all of you to try and experience the onboarding, and that will give you the feel of what I'm talking about. Thank you. Thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great.